Well, hello guys. My name is Lee Cole, and I've got a couple of colleagues, friends on, Gloria Gunn and Don Ketter-Hagan. Would you guys say hello, please?
Hey, how's everybody doing?
How's everybody tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited about this. I love these Friday night webinars because it's really good stuff. This is Your Income Solution, and what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to talk about a little bit about me, a little bit about Gloria, not to the point of boredom, but talk, just basically kind of tell you where we're coming from. We're both business owners. We both had very similar relationship to money and time and wealth and stuff like that. And Gloria and I just kind of got together about a year ago now and started solving this problem in a little different way. And that's what this webinar is all about. Yeah, that's what this webinar is all about. And, again, any questions or anything like that, just feel free to jump in and ask us. Tim, you don't have a mic. Tim, I wasn't planning on your talking. But, I mean, you can at the end of the webinar if you want me to open up your mic. I mean, it's kind of like, me talk, you listen. But it's totally cool, man. At the end of the webinar, if you want us to open up your mic, because we got a number of people on here, but not too many to where we would have too much background noise. I'll be more than happy to do that, and you can talk to us. That would be a cool thing to do. Everybody else on here, that goes for you too. So, Gloria, you started last time. You want me to start this time talking very briefly about me, where I was, so what I saw, and kind of like, what some of the defining issues that we're dealing with here?
Sure, that'd be great.
Well, guys, I used to be a mathematics teacher, and that was like my fourth iteration in life. And Elka, this will be recorded, so if your train pulls out of the station, that's not a joke, guys. She's actually on a train. If your train pulls out of the station, there'll be a recording, and we will email this to you tomorrow. So, I was a mathematics teacher. I'd done that for quite some time. It's a cool job. I loved it. I think I'm a pretty good teacher, but I had what I called my inner entrepreneur who needed to come out. And about 5 years ago, I quit my job. And I had been building websites and making money by selling Amazon products for several years, supplementing my income as a teacher. And I knew a lot about search engine optimization and stuff like that, e-commerce, et cetera, et cetera. So I started selling that expertise to businesses, and I did well at it. I rapidly multiplied my income as a teacher. It was a lot of fun. It's extremely gratifying being an entrepreneur because you're building something. You have an idea. You don't know if it'll work, and guess what? Sometimes it actually does work. In my case, it actually did work. And about, I think, Gloria, you and I really started hashing this out maybe almost a year ago now. About a year ago, really about a year and a half ago, I started I picture myself as like I'm in water and bobbing up against a ceiling. Okay, and that's how I picture this. And it really wasn't just financially. It was more in terms of quality of life, in terms of freedom, use of my time. I was and do well, do well with my business, but I wasn't creating an asset, which is, I mean, you can read that book, it's the book about how to work your way out of your business that's so popular. I can't remember the name right now, but you can read that book till you're blue in the face.
The E-Myth?
Thank you so much. The E-Myth. And I was thinking E something. Yeah. I mean, you can read that book till you're blue in the face. It is not easy to do that for a small business of any kind. I mean, it is a major, major, major issue. And so I started doing a lot of research. Got friends who are full-time real estate investors and have been for decades. Got a couple of friends who do the same thing in the stock market. talk to them about various things. I was looking for something that I could build my way into part-time because I knew that I couldn't just stop my business. That would be financially crazy. And over time, and also I was talking with Gloria about this problem. Turns out, Gloria, I think you had the same problem, and what you can tell us about in a sec. But basically, Gloria and I just put our heads together and said, yeah, we got this problem that all small business people have. How are we going to solve it? And then this summer, that's when we got in touch, or rather Don Ketterhagen on this call got in touch with us, and that was when the solution started to present itself. And so on this webinar, we're going to talk to you about what we feel is the solution. Now, just making totally sure that we're absolutely transparent here. I'm not saying you have to look at it like this. You know, when I say something is like this or it's like that, I'm talking about from my point of view. All right, so you could say, well, Lee, that's not going to work for me, or Lee, that's wrong for me. This other path is right for me. That's totally cool. Okay, this is not a one-size-fits-all thing. I'm just presenting to you guys what Gloria and I saw and what Don helped us see, so that if this is of interest to you, then you can take the next steps. Gloria, I think you had a very, very similar history and a sort of a similar constellation of problems.
Yes, yes. I came from the corporate world, so that's kind of the little bit of a difference. But I went from the corporate world into my own business, where I was offering marketing services to local businesses. And currently, what I do is I offer coaching services. We develop software and sell the software. I primarily do most of the training pieces for the software, the implementation, how to use it and stuff like that. And having your own business, it's very, very cool. The creativity is wonderful. But what happens is, you know, there's a trade-off of time. I mean, I'm working all the time. I mean, literally all the time. And someday, in the very, very near future, I don't want to be working all the time. And so what happens as a small business is you get to really realize and see the value of your time. And so now it's really to a point where I want to be able to have more time and still have the income and have my income grow. But I don't want to, you know, have to work 18, 20 hours, 7 days a week to do that. So how can I very smartly, you know, kind of maximize the time-income ratio? And that's where I am, and that's where Lee and I kind of put our heads together and said, yeah, this solution, it makes sense for him, it makes sense for me, and that's kind of where we are today.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So on this webinar, guys, we're going to tell you about what we feel is the solution for us. Again, it may not be the solution for you, but we feel this is the solution for us. So let's get started. Talking about a company called Lycanet. It's also called Lioness. That's two facets of the same diamond. These are two names for the same company. Don actually got in touch with me this summer and introduced me to this company. I had, you know, like I said, I've been doing a lot of research, talking to a lot of people about a lot of different avenues, and this was the thing that made the most sense to me. Lioness, have any of you guys heard of Lioness before? Just pop it in the chat for a sec if you've actually heard of Lioness before. They're out of Europe. They started in Austria 12 some odd years ago, and recently arrived in the United States about 3 years ago. So most Americans have not heard of this company yet. And Elka's heard of it, absolutely. This is a really, really, really kind of a radical company. I mean, it's going to end up being a huge economic shift in the way people spend money. They have a lot of disruptive technology. And I realize what I'm saying here is really, really vague, and you're thinking, what in the world is Lee talking about? We're going to get down to brass tacks in just a few minutes, but Lioness is a win for consumers, it's a win for businesses, it's a win for the local economy, and it is a really, really, really cool thing. There are two facets now to this company, so let's talk about these in detail. Lioness is more the consumer side of this business. And what this is it is the world's largest shopping community. As in world's largest, we're talking about millions upon millions of people. Again, what is really cool, and we're going to see maps and details about this, but what is really cool is Lioness only arrived in the United States about 3 years ago. The way Lioness works is this. It's not the same as, but it works very, very much like Visa or MasterCard, except it works on the debit side of the transaction instead of the credit side. When you think about when you buy something with a credit card, how does Visa get paid? Well, let's say you buy something for $100 with a credit card, with your credit card. There's a small amount of that $100, a few bucks, that gets taken out of that transaction, and that becomes the revenue for the company Visa. Now, they're actually a whole chain of companies where the money goes through, et cetera, banks, payment processors, et cetera, but let's just keep it simple. That's where the revenue for Visa comes from. The way Lioness works, same idea. That's where the revenue for Lioness comes from, except, again, it's a cash system instead of a credit system. People who find out about Lioness really like it because when they buy stuff through Lioness, now we're not talking about, I always use this example of if you're flying on an airplane, how you get the in-house magazine full of 40% off deals on all this junk that you never wanted in the first place. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your normal everyday purchases. For instance, about 2.5 hours ago, I went to the grocery store. Those purchases. Yesterday, I went to CVS to buy some medication for myself. Those purchases, those everyday purchases, you know, the same thing if you run this through Lioness as opposed to whatever other bank you're using. Lioness is not technically a bank, but as opposed to the bank you're using, you can get cash back for all of your purchases, which is a cool thing. Not only do you get cash back, but you can get also shopping points, which are redeemable in a bunch of ways. And this next part, when Don told me about this summer, this is when I actually started listening. I confessed to Don a few weeks after he told me about this. I said, actually, I was driving. It's so funny. I was driving to the bank while he and I were talking on the phone. Probably, it might even be illegal for all I know. But I was kind of like listening with half an ear. But as he started telling me about this, I thought, man, this is a cool concept, and I think this might be what I've been looking for. Because not only can you basically save money with your normal shopping, which makes sense, and I'm going to explain to you why it makes sense, but you can also make money through referring other people into this company, and as they shop, you make money. So this is really cool. I love to use my sister-in-law as an example. So my sister-in-law gets in Lioness. She gets her husband in Lioness. He goes to Home Depot and buys a bunch of stuff. She's going to get paid from him buying that. Or let's say she gets one of her grown sons into Lioness. They go, well, actually one of them is a general contractor, so the Home Depot analogy is a good idea for him. She gets him into Lioness. He goes shopping. She's going to get money back on what he spent. That is a cool concept. So like I say, Lioness is what I call the consumer side of this idea, because we're talking about people who are interested in spending money and saving some money, accruing shopping points, and we're talking generally here, so we're going to get into details a little bit, accruing shopping points, and also getting paid when people that you refer into the business shop. That I thought was cool, but when Don actually started explaining the rest of it to me, you know, like I say, it was like the heavens opened up and the angels sang, because I could see how I could intelligently, over time, work consistently to create a whole nother income for myself outside of my current business. And that really, Glory, when you and I talked about it, I presented that idea to you, and I said, you know, this is a way we can create an income stream that's not dependent on us waking up every morning and going to work, right? Like your job or like a business that you run.
Right.
This is how we can create an asset which will pay us forever. It's going to take some work to create. That's okay. We're working anyway.
Mm-hmm.
the idea of someone who really wants to go a little bigger, not my sister-in-law. She's interested in signing up her husband and her 2 grown sons, and she's really slow about it. And that's totally cool. But for people who want to go bigger, people who get a vision of, wow, if I organize myself, if I present this idea to a lot of people intelligently over a period of time, I could build a major organization of people below me, all of whom are shopping, all of whom are creating all these shopping points, all of whom are creating wealth for me. That concept of going bigger with this, because it is a little different from presenting this to my sister-in-law, that concept is called Like-A-Knit. And again, it's kind of weird to have a business with 2 different names, but it's like, I look at it like a diamond with 2 different facets, okay, 2 different sides. You got the Lioness consumer side and the Like-A-Knit business builder side. So Like-A-Knit is for people who want to work and build marketing teams, okay? This is what Gloria and Don and I do. We work at this consistently. We're willing to work at this consistently over a period of time and build a team of shoppers below us. People want to profit from global shopping. So let's say one of the people that I've enrolled into Lioness goes to France. There's a lot of Lioness in France. They spend money. Guess who's going to get paid? Guess who gets that, get paid when others shop? That's me, okay? Just like a lot of these companies, they have really exciting car bonuses and trips, and I want to leave. This is an introductory webinar, so I'm going to get into some, but not a total amount of detail on these things. If you're interested, let us know. We'd be more than happy to sit down and talk to you about it in great detail. But the Like-A-Knit side of things is for people who are really interested in creating a large income, not just saving some money on shopping. And by the way, that is a good thing to do. But people have a vision. Kind of like when Don was talking to me, I got the vision. I said, wow, if I work at this, I could build a large shopping network. And then at some point, I will have that, not only the income, but I'll have the freedom that I've been wanting. So Lioness, again, world's largest shopping community. We talked about the cash back, the shopping points, and the friendship bonus. Now this is really cool to me. I will be honest with you, at first I did not like this idea because I can't stand stuff that's free, but it's free to join. And once I got into the business and once I started telling people about it, I could understand the genius of having this free to join. So, you're doing your everyday shopping. So I use CVS for my medications and for medications that my family needs, I mean, there's nothing horribly wrong with me. I'm just getting old. I'm in my 50s. So, I mean, I have to have some medications every now and then, or my son has to have a big bag of bubble gum every now and then. We go to CVS. I can run that through Lioness. Shopping, Kroger. Here, I live in Atlanta. We have Kroger in Atlanta. I can run that through Lioness. We know people have bought cars through Lioness. So anything that you're normally buying, this is one of the things that really got me with this, because anything that you're normally buying, you can buy through Lioness with hardly a change in your entire purchasing procedure. Let me explain that. The older style network marketing companies, let me pick a company that I think very highly of, but just as an example, so I'm not knocking this company. I know some people in this company, I think very highly of them. As far as I know, they make great products. It's Melaleuca, okay? Talked with a lady in Melaleuca a few months ago. She really impressed me, real professional, but here's the deal. If I were to get into that, besides the fact that the market's pretty well saturated on that, but if I were to get into that, I'd have to tell my wife, well, honey, you got to get rid of all the soaps, you got to get rid of all the cleaners, and we're just doing Melaleuca stuff. Okay, well, I mean, she may go with that or she might not. In other words, there's a product substitution going on there. And that's okay. They make great products and that might be fine. One thing that really attracted me to Lioness is there is no product substitution. There are other companies where you end up buying a product or a service or having access to something that you never really envisioned buying. In other words, there's a major change in buying behavior in most of these companies. One thing that really attracted me to Linus, and part of the brilliance of it, was there's no change in buying behavior. The only change is, how do you pay? That's really the only change. And I thought that was genius. I mean, I run my own business. I have a business banking account, several PayPal accounts, all this stuff. I mean, I am used to moving money from one place to the other anyway. This is no more complex than that. So that I thought was genius, because you're not asking people to do anything different. You're not asking them to buy into a product that they've never heard of. You're not asking them to buy something that they didn't want a bunch of anyway, just so that they have the opportunity to build a business. You're not asking people to do that. All you're doing is saying, you just keep on doing what you're doing. Okay, here's how you save money, and here's how you can make money on other people continuing to do what they're already doing as consumers. Yeah, I think we've covered a lot of this. When Linus got to the United States, one of the first things they did was they approached the national brands, and a lot of the national brands are now in Linus. Home Depot, CVS, Office Depot, the Olive Garden restaurants. It doesn't stop there. There are a world of smaller online businesses that you can shop at, and now we're starting to see smaller and medium-sized local businesses coming into Linus, because from the merchant's point of view, or from the business's point of view, Linus is some amazing, extremely effective advertising. Because when they get into Linus, and then somebody who's a Linus member comes to their business because they found them on the Linus app on their phone or the Linus website, for the business owner, it makes sense, because it is essentially, they don't have to pay for that new customer until the customer actually comes in their place of business, finds them online, whatever, and spends money. So it's an amazing form of advertising for these businesses. But we're not talking about off-brands. We're not talking about anything weird. We're not talking about changing anything that you're normally doing. We're just talking about you continuing to do what you already do, except now you can save some money doing it, and you can get other people doing it. You can make money off of their shopping. This is pure genius. They recently added Linus Loyalty Mall, which is yet another place where we can do a lot of shopping. So here is the real big idea. When you say shopping, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm phobic when it comes to shopping. There's a lot of stuff about money that I'm phobic about, like debt, but I'm phobic when it comes to shopping. So when I first heard about Linus, it says shopping, I thought, man, Lee Cole does not shop. Well, that's stupid. I mean, Lee Cole goes to the grocery store. Lee Cole goes to CVS. Lee Cole bought gas for his car. Yeah, I do shop. I just don't go out and spend a lot of time looking for junk that I don't need. But I'm a consumer. I have to buy stuff to live. It's the world we live in. So we're not talking about spending money on stuff, some weirdo thing, or some, okay, so you could buy a $1,000 watch for $400. We're not talking about stuff like that. We're talking about you doing your normal stuff and turning that into an income stream for yourself. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. This is really cool. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to mute myself real fast, take a really quick sip of tea, because I've been talking all day, and then I come right back. Thank you so much. Now, in 2015, I've heard a lot of dates thrown around, so I'm not going to tell you a date. Again, nobody asked me about this. I have nothing to do with Linus as a corporation. I just do my thing as a person building a business within Linus. So I don't know the exact date, but the company says in 2015, and I've heard it's in the first 3 months or the first 6 months, something like that, something on that order. Something major is going to happen. Linus and MasterCard are going to co-brand a MasterCard. That's huge. This is the first time MasterCard has ever co-branded anything with an entity other than a bank. When I heard that, I was deeply impressed by that, because now that MasterCard, you don't just use it at Linus merchants. So like I said, Home Depot's a Linus merchant, but if I go to my local hardware store down the street and they're not a Linus merchant, I can still use my MasterCard. I just don't get the benefits of spending my money at a Linus merchant. That is going to be huge, because that is going to do what I personally feel is it's going to start to get Lioness in the United States into consumer consciousness. Your average everyday person who doesn't do things like read messages on LinkedIn from Lee Cole and go to webinars on Friday evening because you're intrigued about how somebody's dealing with the time, money, life issue. You know, you guys are forward thinking. You're a little different from your average person. Your average person's, you know, God bless them. I mean, it's okay, but they're just sitting at home, sitting on the couch looking at TV and not thinking about this stuff. Your average consumer, when Lioness starts to hit your average consumer, that's when this company is going to go big exponentially. MasterCard's going to be a big part of that. It's happening in 2015. Where can you use your MasterCard? Once you get it, you can use it with any Lioness merchant. And again, you will get up to 5% cash back. We're going to look at some real numbers in a minute so I can bring that idea home to you, but you can get up to 5% cash back on your purchase. Shopping points, shopping deals, and what we call the friendship bonus, which is, my sister-in-law gets in on this. She goes shopping. I myself make money off of her shopping. That's called the friendship bonus. Or you can just use it with your MasterCard, or you can just use it with all of the other merchants who normally accept MasterCard. This little graphic kind of brings home the whole Lioness shopping experience. You can buy anything you want to. Restaurant meals, vacations, clothes, all the stuff we normally buy. When you do, you get up to 5% cash back. That will be put into your bank, or when the MasterCard comes out, popped onto the MasterCard. And then you get shopping points, which are redeemable in a whole host of ways. Let's look at some numbers. I always love this slide because, again, I used to teach mathematics, so I'm all about explaining stuff by taking examples. So instead of 5% cash back, we're going to suppose that you get a measly 2% cash back and you just get 8 shopping points when you spend $150. So $150, you spend that at a loyalty merchant. 2% of that is $3, so you get $3 back automatically. And 8 shopping points are worth $7.50 minimum. These are redeemable in a whole bunch of ways. That's $60. So really, this is pretty amazing. You spend $150 and you get $63 of total benefits. It's kind of sort of like you spent, what would that be, 150 minus 63, $87. Kind of, it's not exactly the same, but kind of sort of like that. You know, some people, because I did this, okay, you know, well, 2%, whoops, excuse me, 2% cash back, big deal. Well, let me tell you about that, okay? So let's talk about that question, 2%, 3%, 4%, 5% cash back. What would be your interest rate on an extremely safe investment, like a certificate of deposit? What are you looking at, 1%, 1.5% maybe, okay? So you take $1,000 of your spending money and totally take it out of circulation for a year, give it to a bank, and you get, you know, whatever it is now, 1%. I mean, it's less than inflation, right? So you get 1% on that. At the end of the year, you get your $1,000 back, and what would that be, like $10 extra for the 1%, you know, for your interest? Well, the cool thing about Lioness, so I'm making this point so you understand that 2, 3, 4, 5% can actually be a really important thing in your life. You don't have to take the money out of circulation. You're just spending the money on the normal stuff you normally spend, and you're making really a bigger interest rate on the money than you would if you were investing it. So just a little thought there about the 2%. Again, shopping points, these are redeemable in a whole bunch of ways with loyalty merchants, both in-store and online. There is a massive amount of online purchasing going on through Lioness. One of the first things I bought, we homeschool our kids, one of the first things I bought when I got into Lioness, this was back in the summer, was my kids' textbooks for their school. They're both teenagers, they're homeschooled. Got on the Lioness website, found several companies that sold textbooks, got a better deal on the textbooks than I could have gotten through Amazon. In addition, I got my cash back. I thought that was a deal. So this slide kind of brings this home a little more. This, I think, graphically represents things from the Lioness/consumer point of view. We're going to talk about the business builder point of view in a minute. Here you are. Okay, you decide to roll with this. You get into Lioness, you start saving a little money on your expenditures, you get a few shopping points. Then you tell your sister-in-law, you tell your brother, you tell your dad, you tell your mom, you tell your colleagues at work. They tell people. Okay, this thing can grow exponentially and will grow exponentially so that you get a ton of shoppers in your shopping network. And that's when you're going to, that's what Gloria and I really started to see in this. That's when you're going to start to create real wealth for yourself. Another thing that, and I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but another thing that really caught my eye, because I've worked with small and medium-sized businesses for years. Again, when Lioness first got to the United States, they reached out to the big box stores, the big national chains, then reaching out to a lot of businesses online, and now we're in a wonderful time. If you're someone who knows small to medium-sized business owners, this is a wonderful time to talk to these people about getting them into Lioness, because Lioness is very, very interested in getting these merchants into Lioness. They basically want the United States to be very much like many places in Europe, where you walk out the door, you get your phone app, you type in restaurants, and you've got 8 within walking distance from where you are. That's what they want the United States to be like. We're not there yet. That's a good thing, because by the time we're there, if you're not in on this and if you haven't been doing this for a while, you will have lost out. I hate to be, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just trying to be honest with you. Another thing, this is a small but big thing. I mean, it's big to me, but it could be small to you. Another thing that I thought was really cool about Lioness is they're a good corporate citizen. I'm an Eagle Scout, so taking care of the environment's very important to me. I love their Greenfinity Foundation and their Child and Family Foundation. They give a ton of money to charity every year. I like that. The little history about the company. The founder, Hubert Friedel, founded the company in Austria, 2003. That's not that long ago, guys. I mean, I hope that you're on this planet 12 years from now. That's just 12 years ago. They're now in 45 plus different companies. For instance, Mexico just opened up a few months ago. 250,000 points of acceptance, places to spend your Lioness money. Tons of products to buy, 4+ million registered members. My point is, this is not some little company. This is not just somebody's bright idea that they had a year ago. This is a major, major, major corporation, and we're so fortunate here in the United States and Canada and North America that they didn't start here. See, a lot of these companies like to start here and then they branch out everywhere else. We're so fortunate that they started in Europe and only arrived here about 3 years ago. Offices in the United States and New York. I think Miami is the office for the Americas, for North, Central, and South America. Offices in Canada, and the new office in Mexico. Big corporation. So again, Lioness, more the consumer side, up to 5% cash back, 0.5% on the friendship bonus. So when my sister-in-law goes out and buys a whole ton of stuff at Home Depot, I'm going to make 0.5% on what she buys. That to me is really cool, because it used to be I would make nothing. Now I'm making 0.5%. Everybody I bring into this, they shop, I make 0.5%. I like that. If you are interested in the Lycanet business builder side of things, if you see this, and either way is fine, by the way, okay? The company's founded on shoppers. That's what it's all about. But if you see this as, hey, Lee, I'm getting the vision. I'm kind of seeing a big income potential here if I work intelligently over a reasonable period of time. Lycanet. That's what we're talking about. Career income up to $75,000 per month, plus a really cool car bonus. And since I just talked about money, here is the income disclosure statement from 2013, which I see is virtually impossible to read. So let's do this. If you're interested in following up on Lioness and you want to know more information, we've got this in PDF form. We will email this to you so you can sit down and look at it, and if you have any questions, let us know. But basically, you can see that there are 8 levels to Lioness, And you can see the high, low, and average incomes, this is in 2013, of people in line S. In the United States, we now have some, there are dots here because in 2013 in the United States we did not have any level 8s, but now we have at least one level 8. I'm not sure if we have more. Car bonuses, really cool. A variety of really nice cars for you to choose from. Again, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but Mercedes, BMW, Audi. These car bonuses start on level 4 and, you know, get bigger as you climb in the ranks. One thing, I will mention one thing. You probably, when I said I was allergic to debt and I hate shopping, you probably figured out that I don't like to spend money, and I really don't. It's just a thing with me. But one thing I really liked about this is compared to a lot of companies, it is totally cool for me to be driving around in a car that somebody else is leasing for me and I'm not having to pay for it. That's cool. What's even cooler is when they're paying for it and by the time it's paid up, the car's mine. You could do that with Lioness. So maybe, you know, I'm not telling you what to think. I'm just sort of drawing a little parentheses or just taking a little pause here and just sort of talking about what all we talked about. You may say to yourself, Lee, this is not for me at all. That's totally cool. I mean, you know, I presented this idea to a lot of people. It's not for them. It doesn't mean anything except it's not for them. Okay? Again, this is not a one-size-fits-all. But if it is for you, if this does tweak your interest, if you think, man, this is really pretty cool, the next step really is for you to kind of decide where your interest is. Do you want to be like my sister-in-law, save money shopping, get a few people in on this, make some money off of their shopping, kind of slowly build out a business, or maybe not build out a business, just set yourself up to make 2, 3, 4, 5% on your money that you're normally spending, which over years can end up being a ton of money, by the way, just through compound interest. Or are you interested in this as a career income? Do you see this as a way, this is what Gloria and I saw about this, a way to create yet another income for yourself, or a way to work your way out of a business that you own, work your way out of a career that you might love, but maybe you've been doing it for 20 years. Okay, maybe it's time to do something else. So kind of think about the spectrum of stuff we're talking about, where you land in there. And there's no right answer. I'm just suggesting that you think about stuff. This is a really, really cool couple of maps, and I need to actually move this one over so it's a little more visible. This is Europe, Spain, France, okay, Germany, Austria here, ditto over here. This one's a little hard to see, but this is Austria in 2003. Lioness started with just 3 businesses in Austria. Each one of those little dots is one business in Lioness in Austria 2003. This is Europe now. Now there's a major difference between reading this map on the right and reading the map on the left. The map on the right, I'm pointing to a little blue dot there. You see that? That's not one business. When you get to be a Lioness member, or you get the you get access to a dashboard, app on your phone and all that stuff, and you get this map, and it's an interactive map. And as you get more and more and more granular, as you get close, you know, like you're dropping from the sky and getting closer and closer to the ground, these little dots expand. So that little dot that I'm pointing at right there, that could be 80, 100, 200 or more businesses. 3 businesses, tens of thousands of businesses. That's what Lioness did over a 12-year period in Europe. Lioness has very much entered consumer consciousness. You see Lioness advertisements in a lot of places in Europe. You don't see that here in the United States, and that is a good thing. The Austrian Open, I think as of 3 years ago, was renamed the Lioness Open. It's a big deal. So this is really what I saw. When Don started talking to me about this is what I saw in my head, and when I did a little research about it, this is what I saw visually. I saw Lioness here in the United States, and again I need to move my map over so you can see this more. This is the western part of the United States. This is North America today. These are businesses and Lioness. Well, if North America starts to look like, if North America in the future looks like Europe today, That's a massive ton of businesses. That's millions of shoppers. And when I got that deep down into my head, I thought, well, Lee, the only question is, are you going to do the work? I'm talking to myself. Are you going to do the work over the next year or two or three to create an army of shoppers so that as these people start shopping and as Lioness becomes a big deal here, which it did in Europe, I will benefit from it. My family will benefit from that for potentially a very, very long time. My answer was yes. My answer was I'm going to kick myself if I don't do this. You know, you got to figure out your own answer to that. That's Lioness, guys. Again, Lioness, consumer side, Lycanet, business builder side, two facets to the same diamond. Gloria, Don, would you like to add anything to this?
Well, I would, Lee. That was a very nice presentation. Terrific, as a matter of fact. But anyone taking a look at this has got to appreciate the logic of the whole process. It's logical to get something back for the money you're already spending. And that's it. There isn't anything magic. There isn't anything tricky about this. It's just plain old common sense, logical, to get the most bang for your buck. And this is the way that all of three of us and some of you all others on the call are using to achieve that. It's just common sense. And, you know, the common sense point of view is clearly evident on the maps of Europe from before and now. And the way it's growing right now, as you said, you know, 10 years is going to go by pretty fast, and you just have an opportunity right now, since you're already shopping, to get something for it, both in terms of a long-term willable income that derives from the way the whole thing is set up, and the immediate cash back from doing your shopping through a proven vehicle. So those are my only thoughts. I looked at a lot of other things too. In my business, I liken it to, not like Onet, but I like it to be similar to what I did when I was 17 years old, and I worked for a factory with a group of people that were doing piecework. And in my business and some of the other people's businesses, it doesn't matter at what level you're doing piecework, but you're only making income as fast as you crank out the widgets or the procedures that you did in your regular job. And there isn't any of that in this. There's no rapid fire. You gotta, you know, sign up 62 people by the end of the month, or you're just not going to make it. You don't, as you mentioned, have to throw away everything in your medicine cabinet. In fact, you don't have to throw away anything except your view of how things are paid for. And as you said, it's just a different way of doing it. I've always loved your analogy of, you know, you make a sale in your daytime business, you get paid, and you have to take that check and put it somewhere where you have access to it when you're shopping. So it's like having a special debit card, which the MasterCard is going to take care of. But it's an amazing way of thinking about it. You take your funds, you put it into the Lioness, it's called a purchase account, and you can pull that money out right on your cell phone and pay for things. It's just incredible. I bought some coffee tonight that way. I spoke with a guy up in Alaska. As a matter of fact, he lives in Prudhoe Bay. He says he's about a mile away from Sarah Palin's house up north, and he was telling me that, you know, as soon as he's got some time tomorrow, he'll call me, and I'll give him a code right out of my phone and pay for the coffee that he's sending me tomorrow. He says, don't worry about it. You know, I'll get it from you, you know, whenever you're on the internet and I'm able to get the code from you. And there's so much to this. It's just
Right.
incredible, and there's so many people from Prudhoe Bay all the way down here to Punta Gorda, Florida, that get it, and I hope you guys do too.
Excellent. So guys, thank you so much, Don. So guys, really, the next thing that needs to happen is perhaps nothing. So you might have said, well, this is great information and totally cool, and you're just going to go do your thing, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But you got to this webinar somehow. If you are interested in more information, I am not asking you whether you're in. Okay, that's not what I'm asking. I'm just saying that you have some level of interest and you would like some more information. Then what you need to do is you need to get with the person that gave you the link to this webinar. And whoever that is, you need to hit them up and say, that was pretty cool. I enjoyed Lee's webinar, and I need to know more. And then they will just take that from there. If you got on here through knowing me or Gloria, then you need to let us know if you're interested and want some more information. We're not hard sales people. That doesn't work for us. It doesn't seem to work for Lioness. It doesn't make sense. All we do is give you the information, and you make whatever informed decision you want to make. And then if you're in, great. We have excellent training. We got a rapidly growing team of really cool people. And if you're not in, that's totally cool too. I'm glad you were here. So let's just leave it at that. Get back with us if you want more information. Get back to the person that brought you, that suggested you come here, if you got here through some means other than for me or Gloria. Thank you so much, guys. Gloria, thank you so much for being on the webinar. Did you have anything to add to this?
No, other than, I'm very excited because we're strategically putting together, this plan. I would consider it near term so that we can build out this asset, and I'm really excited about it. So.
Very cool. Okay, thank you all so much. You have a wonderful rest of your Friday evening, and we'll see you later.
Thanks. Bye.